Okay, so we are going to work on putting all of our Soma Cube pieces into one file. And that file is the file that we'll be producing on. So I'm going to pull it up just so you can see what we're trying to do here. And then after we get that, we're going to go and I'm going to show you how to do like 3 of the 8 pages you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to save it. And if you look here, this is what you want on your first page. I'm going to go over this with you. We get our exploded view from the presentation, our assembly view. We have a parts list and balloons for each part, all labeled nicely, and that is good to go. And then we have multiple sheets. So then we've got sheet 2, which clearly you have the part dimensioned and the part, and sheet 3. Now none of these are incredibly difficult to dimension, but if you're curious as to how any of them should look, you can go through the sheet and it will show you how I want it to look. I'm going to do a separate video on some dimensioning standard stuff that you can review and I will talk about in class. So if we go here, we're going to make a new file. We're going to use the title block. I don't know if we'll be using this exact one, but I will indicate in class which title block you should use. And you start by filling it out. So the title for the first one, as you can see, I've got the title on every page. So this one would be the Soma Cube. I got the scale on every page. So this one scales 1 to 2. Sheet 1, name, you would put your name, not mine, and the period you're in. Click OK. And it's going to open. And on this sheet, we're going to go and get a base. And the base is where we start. So we're going to go to the folder where we saved all of our work, which happens to be Soma Cube. I start with the presentation and click open. Now, sometimes you have multiple views in here. I only have one. That's the view you should have. If you took snapshots, you may have 2, 3, 4 views, but I mostly want to stick with the one that's exploded. If you're having trouble with this, you can contact me in class. And we're going to change the scale here, 1 to 2. And I want it to be shaded, so I'm going to click on shaded. And then I'm just going to move it to where it looks good. I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to get another base, and I'm going to get the assembly, which is that all put together. I've got the scale right at half scale there. I'm going to make it shaded again. And I just want the isometric, so I'm going to click on the little house to get the isometric. You can pick which side you want facing out. It really doesn't matter as long as it's an isometric. I'm okay with it. But since I exploded it this way, I think I'm going to go with it this way. I'm going to move it up into the corner a little bit. And I'm going to go to annotate, and I'm going to add a parts list. So you can click either of these for the parts list, but I'm going to do this one because this is the one I'm ballooning. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to drag the parts list over here. And we have a couple things we need to do to the parts list. So the first thing we need to do is double click on it, and we don't need a description column. So I'm going to right click on that. So that was a right click, and I go to column chooser, and I'm going to remove that column. Click OK. Then I need to make sure all of these are capitalized, because we capitalize every word in a technical drawing. It is the correct procedure. So you make sure all letters at all times are capitalized. So I just go through here quickly and make sure we are all good. Okay. So I got magenta. There we go. I hit apply and you can see how it changed in the corner. And I could even shrink this if I wanted to make it fit a little nicer and drop each column. That is more of a preference thing for you, but I do like to drop in the corner lining up on my border. From here, I'm going to add balloons, 1 balloon per part, type. So in this drawing, we happen to only have different parts, like there is no duplicate. But if I were to have multiple of the same type of part, I would only balloon 1 of them. These balloons should be corresponding to their numbers, like 3 should be purple, 6 should be yellow. So far so good. If there is an issue with that, you will have to rename the part on the parts list to ensure that they are all lining up. So each one of these I left click to change the direction. So I click once and then I click again and then I right click and hit continue, and that creates the sheet. Now you could save this and then open a new file and start your next drawing, or what we can do is under place views we can go and we can make a new sheet. And then this sheet will be whichever block you want to do next. So I think I'm going to do the blue block next. So I'm going to title it blue. On these ones, the scale is all 1:1. The sheet's going to be 2. My name is going to be my name. And the period is going to be X. So I get this in here, and I am going to go to the base, and I'm going to go find my blue block, which I have right here. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to make the scale 1:1. I'm going to get it the rotation the way I like it. Like I said, you can go and reference how it looks on mine. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the way you want to do it, but it's a pretty decent way to have it done. So I'm going to go in there and do that. Got to go get my block again. And here we go. So I'm going to increase the size 1:1. And this is your front view. If you go up and left click, you got a top view. If you go to the side and left click, you got a side view. And then in the corner, we do our isometric. So I got a couple things to do here. First, I always double click on the isometric and shade it. After we get this shaded in the corner, we're going to go and dimension our blocks. Now remember, you need to fully dimension all of your blocks in both the width, the height, and the depth. And you want to try, whenever possible, to dimension on the contoured side. You also want to try, wherever possible, when you're doing baseline, you have to click all of them, right click continue, and then left click, and then right click again and create, or it will not make it. You want to try to dimension on the contoured side, which is here, and here I would say if you want to dimension here, that's fine, like I did, or if you dimension here, since I don't have any major crossings, this would be acceptable as well. So either of these is okay. I might have put this over here and I would have accepted that, although some other people wouldn't. So we got this one, and you're finished there, so you can go back to place views and you can continue on, and then I don't know, I might do the red part next and do the scale 1:1, do the sheet number 3, and so on and so forth. Period X. So I'm just going to go in here and I will get the red one. I decided I wanted to dimension it this way, so you do have the power to rotate in here. Drop my side and my top views in, isometric in the corner, click OK, and then I double click and I am going to make it shaded. Upon doing so, I can go to baseline. All I do for baseline is I click the lines I want to dimension in the correct order, and I continue to create. This one, I'm going to dimension on the side. I just think it comes out nicer. Even though you're supposed to dimension on the side with a contour. And I will go over here, and then this one is done. Alright, so now that I'm all finished, and I kind of just did a quick cut here to the end, I got all my sheets as I can go through. All of these are done, dimensioned, they look fine. Now, to typically save them, you just go and you do your save, and I'll do a save as. I'll do a save as so you can see. I just saved Soma Cube build doc, it's an IDW, it saves as an IDW, that's great. But this is not what I want you to hand in. I want you to hand in a PDF. So you have to go to File, Export, PDF. Now this is very important. When you export the PDF, you have to go to Options and make sure it says All Sheets. If you only do current sheet, it'll only do the one you're looking at. So you got to make sure you're doing all sheets. And then click OK. And you hit save. I'll replace it, that's fine. And that will allow me to go and look at all of my sheets. So here we go, I got it, I can go through. They're all in there. I could print this out. I could send this to anyone in the world. on any type of computer and they would have the plans to build this.